Welcome again to Joe Stunner Boxing. Now look, if this is a portent of things to come, we are in for an even greater night's boxing than we previously expected. I'm talking about the opening fight on the main card of the Riyadh show, headlined by Bivol and Beterbiev in their rematch. Callum Smith outpoints Joshua Buatsi unanimously. Now there's one thing I want to say to start with, and that is that the judge who scored it 119 to 110 for Smith should be brought before, I don't know, whoever the ruling body is. It's the British Boxing Board of Control controlling this. They're overseeing the administration of this, the logistics. That card is a bizarre disgrace, and there's no other word for it, because I had this a draw, 114-114. I have no problem if someone says Smith won it, by a couple of points. 116-112 is a bit of a push for me. But 119-110, seriously, 10 rounds to 1 with one even. Do me a favour, as Uncle Frank would say. What a load of bollocks. But there's another thing I want to say before we get into the fight itself. I was talking to Lee and his mate Dean via WhatsApp about this card. And we were saying, is this card just too stacked? I mean, it sounds like we're complaining because, maybe if you snapped it in half and put it on 2 separate nights, fights like this, which are this good, because this was an excellent, excellent fight, won't get kind of lost in the mix, if you know what I mean. Because make no mistake about it, this was a terrific dust-up between Buatsi and Smith, and it would have sold out at the O2, say, for example, on a Saturday night, free-to-air on DAZN. And you'd have had an incredible atmosphere for this fight, because it warrants a rematch as far as I'm concerned. It really does. But anyway, on to the fight. That's maybe a video for another time, I think. But on to the fight. Fight itself. Look, brilliant fight. Exemplary skills from both men. Different styles to some degree, to a large degree. You've got the very, very precise, economical Buatsi, who, excellent jab, varies it well, will hang he's an orthodox fighter, he'll hang his left hand low and jab to the stomach or the solar plexus, or maybe the chest, maybe bring it up occasionally, but he's not averse to having his hands quite a bit higher and jabbing to the head as well. But likes to be very precise, doesn't really fire with any kind of sort of set rhythm. It's normally, instead of 1 2 1 2 1 2 or 1 2 3 1 2 3, it's more of a sort of 1 pause 1 2 and then 1 2 pause 1. He looks for those opportunities, but an excellent jab. And you've got Smith again, a very, very good jab. Both guys went to the body excellently, both of them. Terrific hooks from Smith early on, and first 2 rounds were evenish, I'd say, sort of evenish. And then in the third round, I think it was the third round or fourth round, there was a cut to Smith's right eye, which seemed to bug him a little bit, and the blood was, I won't say it was going directly in the eye, maybe a few splashes, but it was, for the most part, it was coming down the side of his face. But it did seem to slightly perturb him or take him out of his rhythm a bit, because in the opening few rounds I thought Smith is getting on top here. His work rate was better. The punches were coming in clusters and salvos, which is great to see. The body work was brilliant from Smith. Buatsi himself landed some very good body punches, but couldn't quite handle the industry in the first half of the fight, or certainly the first third of the fight, from Smith. And in the 5th round, Smith really rattled Buatsi. He hurt him, and Buatsi was swaying like the ship in the storm. And he was, you thought he was going to hit the floor. He did not hit the floor. There were no knockdowns in this fight. And then right at the end of the round, he sort of leapt in with a left hook. I don't know, was it a check left hook? I can't remember offhand, but I know it was a left hook that stung Smith and pushed him backwards. And Smith, who was huge for the weight, I mean, how that bloody hell he made 168, I do not know. He looks like a very big light heavyweight. He tottered backwards a little bit, but it was only about 10, 15 seconds of the round left. Now, the sixth round was, I still gave that round to Smith, by the way, because of the first 2.5 minutes of work. But nevertheless, it was an excellent comeback swinging round for Buatsi, and he kind of ended it on a high, which probably gave him a little bit more pep, a little bit more belief. But he was stunned. Sixth round, they kind of, because they'd both been hurt, a little bit hurt in the fifth, they both kind of took a bit of time off in the sixth. It was more of a standard round, bit of boxing, 6 of one, half dozen of the other. But then from the seventh onwards, I thought Buatsi narrowed the gap. Now, as I say, I had this draw, and I will never, if I live to be 1,001, understand how anyone can have it 119, 110. If you thought Smith won by a couple of points, all right. If you thought Buatsi edged it, all right. But I thought it was a draw. But from the 7th to about the 9th, 10th, 11th, 9th to 10th, I thought definitely Buatsi, narrowed that gap very much so. How much is a matter of opinion, and there were swing rounds. There were rounds that could have gone either way, But the point is, this was a brilliant fight. I mean, there was some real good work going on. I think one of the reasons why Buatsi was allowed to come back into it is because Smith stopped working so hard. He stopped with the salvos of punches, and he stopped the body work as well, which was really giving Buatsi problems. In fact, Buatsi hurt Smith a few times to the body. In one of the early rounds, he hurt him to the body as well. But Smith kind of sort of countered that with his own body work. Well, that stopped from about the seventh round onwards, and there was only the occasional hook to the body from Smith, and I think that allowed Buatsi to gain a bit more momentum and come back into it. The championship rounds, the so-called championship rounds, 10, 11, 12, which is the last quarter of the fight. Again, I thought Buatsi was looking pretty good. Smith was still dangerous, don't get me wrong. But then after 11 rounds, I had it 114 to 113 whatever it is. I had it 6 rounds to 5, whatever it works out as in maths, to Buatsi, and I thought Smith needs this last round, and I gave it to him, which is why I had it 114. But the one with his hand raised was Callum Smith, and this has got, like I say, this got to be a rematch for this. This was such a terrific fight, lost pretty much because it started at 5:30 in the afternoon, early evening, late afternoon, and you're thinking, a rematch at the O2 in London. Come on, let's have it. What a fantastic fight. Both men take a bow. You're a credit to yourselves, credit to the sport, credit to your families. But this is by far Callum Smith's best performance for years. And Buatsi's got nothing to be ashamed of. I mean, he will look at this fight and think, I could have done this, could have done more, shoulda, coulda, woulda, shoulda. And you wouldn't necessarily bet against him in a rematch at all. So we need that rematch. But what did you think? Who did you think won, and by what margin? Tell me that, because I want to know. How much more have we got to come? I mean, this was a terrific opener. We've got about another 5 or 6 fights to come. Jesus, so many sweets in the bag. Getting a bit fatter by the second. Anyway, comments below, subscribe to the channel if you're new, hit the like button, and spread the word about Joe Stunner Boxing. Much love to all of you. I'll catch you later. Plenty more to come. Bye for now.